I've considered myself a sci-fi and fantasy geek my whole life. Watching Star Wars was one of my earliest cinematic memories. Independence Day, District 9, Starship Troopers, Interstellar, Alien and Aliens, E.T., Arrival, Pacific Rim, Terminator. Good sci-fi is something that I don't think always gets the credit it deserves in society. Not always, but it can often be treated, especially by critics, as childish, escapist, schlocky, effects-heavy, mindless fun. And while some of those charges have a kernel of truth to them, good sci-fi is much more than just a cheap diversion. This is especially true of stories that are epic in scale and immersion. It's these stories especially, the immersive science fiction epics that stay with so many of us, that change our lives and fire our imagination. They help shape how we think about humanity, who we are as a species, or what we have the potential of becoming. They exist as art that is worth engaging with. Appreciating science fiction is an important part of valuing contemporary art and culture. I want to draw attention to a few recent epics that still resonate with me. Specifically, 3 examples as of the mid-2020s in which I believe we can still find meaning: Avatar, Dune, and Andor. I can already hear many of you in the comments asking how I could count Avatar as something other than mindless escapism, slop for the masses. But please bear with me.
It's repeat listenings that cause the most damage. Are we ready?
And maybe you don't consider Andor an epic, but I think that the immersion, scale, and focus on the human struggle amidst a backdrop of war and rebellion should allow it to count. Also, I'm gonna defend Avatar. Transportation to another world. Science fiction has always been a genre with a heavy focus on transporting us to far-off places and galaxies. However, in many films and TV shows, this exploration of far-off worlds often ends up being mostly a lot of cool visuals. But there are cool visuals, and then there is immersion so deep it truly transports us to another world. Visuals that take us to a place that we have never experienced before, another star system, another galaxy. They make us feel part of this place. We are an inhabitant, witnessing people or other beings on these planets, each full of life and culture in unique biomes. One could say that just watching a movie for the immersive experience is just basic escapism, something simple and infantile, a charge often levied against Avatar. Like a quick break from life where you turn off your mind. But I don't believe that an escape into a science fiction world is just escapism. It's more than that. It's a way for us to fire our imaginations and see something beyond just our mundane existence. To contemplate other worlds, creatures, the vastness of outer space, and yes, maybe even feel some sadness at knowing we will not reach or experience these places in reality, all of which is completely applicable to Avatar, Dune, and Andor. Perhaps no movie in recent decades has provided as immersive of an experience when it comes to being on another world as James Cameron's Avatar series. We get to explore and experience the unique alien moon of Pandora in breathtaking detail. A world of lush jungles, which becomes bioluminescent at night, oceans teeming with alien life, and a blue humanoid alien species, the Na'vi, as well as... Actually, you know what? Here's why Avatar's good. Minor Fire and Ash spoilers ahead. See, people love to hate on Avatar, that's well known, and the critics are many. It's Pocahontas in space, I can't remember any character names, the movies are too long, the dialogue's bad, okay, that one's definitely fair, certainly at times, it's just a theme park ride, etc., etc. But the one that gets me is, okay, well, aside from the visuals, it's not even that good. Aside from the visuals, as in aside from the most groundbreaking visual effects currently in existence as of the mid-2020s, let me put it this way. I remember leaving the IMAX 3D screening of Way of Water and thinking, this is the closest I have ever felt to actually being on an alien planet in my entire life. I have just experienced something that almost made me feel like I was on drugs while watching a movie, and I mean that in the best way possible. A third of The Way of Water is basically just a National Geographic or Planet Earth episode in an alien ocean, and I was so with it. And of course that was a huge draw of the first film as well. And that's because the world building for Avatar has had some serious thought put into it. The bioluminescent forests, an unbelievably developed taxonomy of the various flora and fauna of Pandora, whether on land, sea, or air. Even the design of the Na'vi, which has been described as effective, is an easy way to get the audience to care, not making them too alien-looking, all things considered, while being more than just people with weird makeup or prosthetics. Honestly, I get PADS, or PADS, is that how it's pronounced? After every movie. Post-Avatar depression syndrome. Like, knowing that I have to go back to my regular life, and I'm not able to run around the moon of Pandora. facing mundane reality, having to do my taxes, go to a job, buy groceries, pay bills, and go to the dentist. Mundane reality doesn't involve exploring jungles and ocean biomes, flying on alien dinosaurs and shooting bad guys, or connecting with animals at a psychic level, all while having a beautiful blue cat lady girlfriend to go on these epic adventures with throughout said biomes. One cannot just write off that experience and say, Avatar is dumb. Though to be fair, I have had post-movie sadness at plenty of points in my life, especially when I was a teenager. I'm sure you felt it at some point, being sad or a little melancholy that the movie is over and you cannot spend time existing in that world with those characters. And here's the thing, I used to not care about Avatar, other than the week after seeing the first film in 3D in December 2009 when the Pandora drug still hadn't worn off. But from 2010 through December of 2022, I was extremely apathetic about Avatar, even enjoying the criticism and snark a little bit. But after seeing Way of Water and even Fire and Ash in theaters, as well as revisiting the first Avatar, I found myself strangely drawn to this series in a way I would have never thought possible 5 or 6 years ago, though it does help that there are now 3 films. But it's not just the world building and immersion that draws me to Avatar, it's also the idea of exploration and adventure. The YouTuber Tom Vanderlinden, who runs the channel Like Stories of Old, explains it perfectly in his video, James Cameron Understands What Most Filmmakers Don't.
One that so many other blockbusters seem to have forgotten about. We love adventures.
A major reason why people like Avatar is that they like adventure and exploration. We love adventures. It's the same reason people love games like Skyrim. We love exploration and discovery, and seeing new lands and people and places for the first time as we learn things we didn't know before about cultures and biomes. And very importantly, we are not rushed in this experience. And this is exactly what Avatar gives us. Also a side note, but I think the relative lack of exploring new places is what a lot of people found lacking in Avatar Fire and Ash, a sentiment which I share. While we briefly visited the volcanic ashlands of Varang's tribe, it wasn't nearly enough. We should have had a whole sequence of learning about that biome and its flora and fauna, even if that was through the eyes of one of the main villains. In fact, that would have added an extra level of depth. The antagonist's corrupted version of the wonder we experienced in Avatar 1 and 2 with the forest and the ocean. Hell, in early statements, Cameron had considered visiting other planetary bodies in the Alpha Centauri system in the third film, but I guess not. Nonetheless, this notion of actually taking time to experience and explore something new is, I think, lacking in so much run-of-the-mill and utterly forgettable corporate sci-fi and fantasy franchises. Led by Hollywood execs, Blake Snyder's Save the Cat followers, who live according to concepts like, the inciting incident has to be on page 17. Oh, we can't keep this in, we have to cut for time. The script needs to be between 85 to 107 pages. Those ideas have a time and place. But when applied to immersive world building, such a mindset creates an environment that produces pieces of content like assembly line products in a factory. Cutting costume budgets, using generic CGI for everything, putting in the bare minimum for production design, churning out forgettable content with boilerplate fantasy or sci-fi elements whereby there is nothing of substance behind what is filmed on set. Like the Truman Show version of a sci-fi world, an obvious set, but we can tell the difference, and Avatar is a series where it is clear how much effort has gone into it. Just for that, I give Cameron and his team serious credit. But what also does not get enough credit in Avatar are some of its performances, especially Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, and Una Chaplin in Fire and Ash. I love watching their characters. We're not supposed to talk about this, but these actors bring blue alien humanoids to life. Okay, I need to take a minute to talk about Zoe Saldana as Neytiri. Every time she is on screen, I am completely immersed watching her. And as the series has gone on, her emotional arcs and personal struggles have made me genuinely care about her. She's not just some alien. She's a character with hopes and dreams and sorrow and loss and fear. Watching her in The Way of Water, where the loss of her son causes her to go on a rampage, or in Fire and Ash, where she is consumed by grief for having lost so much in her life, having nothing left except her family and her faith. Watching her grapple with how much she hates the humans and everything they have done to her world. Watching Neytiri not as some technical wonder, but as a character with depth, the same way we watched Andy Serkis as Gollum in Lord of the Rings. There's also Stephen Lang as Quaritch, though some critics have depicted him as, well, a comical stereotype of the racist crew-cut wearing white man. That's just for reference, Plinkett is still the GOAT. I think Lang's performance as Quaritch is great. He's the classic veteran US Marine, a career soldier who's tough as nails, knows what his job is, and won't stop till he's completed the mission. He's confident, competent, and can be funny at times, but knows when to be cruel when fighting the enemy. He's an archetype of the classic American soldier, and Lang plays that to a T. And with Fire and Ash, there's Varang, played fantastically by Una Chaplin, the merciless leader of the Mungquan Ash tribe. She is mercilessly cruel, very sexy, and so fun to watch, all in equal parts. I honestly wish she had more screen time, where we could learn more about her people, culture, and home. Over the course of the film, she and Quaritch develop a relationship, and honestly, every time Varang and Quaritch are on screen, I love it. Their chemistry is excellent. As the old saying goes, a story is only as good as its villain, and with villains like Quaritch and Varang, that gives Avatar serious points in my book. And I've even come around to Sam Worthington. I'll say it, with Fire and Ash, I'm invested in what Jake Sully is up to, and I want to see him face and overcome challenges as he tries to keep his family safe. But what I don't think we put enough emphasis on is that these are blue alien cat people, and I'm at the point now where I care if their marriage is going through a rough patch and how they're going to save it. I get that the Na'vi were designed to look very human, but still, all of this makes me wonder why people love to hate on these movies so much, or say that they're forgettable. I also appreciate that Avatar is sincere. It's not snarky. Characters aren't poking fun at tropes, or making witty one-liners and meta-references about situations that we, the audience, get because we know how cliché stuff is. How the characters act and what they believe is played straight. And after the marvelization of so many films, where snark is everywhere in big-budget franchises, I feel like sincerity is a rare value these days. I'm not saying that Avatar doesn't have problems. It does. The dialogue, yes, can be eye-rollingly bad at times. The number of times the kids say bro or cuz. I've never been a fan of present-day slang in movies that aren't set in the current moment, since they tend to age movies like milk. And for immersive sci-fi, it's definitely unwanted. The character of Spider. I get what Cameron is going for, but I just can't. No, sorry. And yes, especially in 2 and 3, the number of times characters get captured by the other team, then escape, get recaptured and escape, or even capture the original character who did the capturing before they then escape, yeah, it does get old. And with the music for 2 and 3, while there are a couple good pieces, much of it feels pretty generic. If you want to delve into how much of a lost opportunity the music of Avatar was, there are a couple of excellent video essays about how the original Avatar score was supposed to be radically different. Nonetheless, in the scheme of most movie scores, all things considered, I still think James Horner's Avatar score has value. Yes, they have flaws, some reasonably significant. I wish Fire and Ash could have focused more on the elemental theme of, well, fire and ash, as well as how these two species are now interacting with each other beyond the phase of first contact. But even with their imperfections, I have come to appreciate these films, and I am glad they exist. The world of Denis Villeneuve's Dune is so wonderfully human and alien in equal measure. We are watching humans tens of thousands of years in the future who have cultures and societies that are so strange to us that they are in many ways almost like aliens. Yet they are still people just like us. Well, maybe not the Harkonnens, but partly they have become so twisted over the millennia that they do often feel more alien than human. Dune takes us to a place where technology exists in strange extremes. A society without computers. Some things are recognizable, while many other personal objects and crafts are a strange combination of the futuristic and the ancient. Bladed weapons alongside personal energy shields. Interstellar travel, but which occurs with the help of spice, giving navigators the ability to guide craft through the cosmos. We witness the social dynamics in this alien human environment. Neo-feudalism, but in a futuristic setting, along with all of the behaviors that come from people in such a system. And then there are the worlds themselves. Arrakis, a blasted desert planet and unforgivingly hostile, shown in brilliant detail throughout the films, where we come to understand the harshness of this world, as well as the people who inhabit it, the Fremen. But we do see other worlds. Caladan, the Atreides homeworld, a planet of oceans and lush, craggy islands. Gedi Prime, the Harkonnen homeworld with its black sun and infrared light. A harsh, industrial, and mercilessly brutal world, fitting the psychotic totalitarian culture of its people, or at least its ruling class. And even the one seen on Solusta Secundus, an imperial army planet where a unit of Sardaukar, the Emperor's elite guard, are being readied for war, accompanied by human sacrifice. That scene has stuck with many of us. These planets, the different aesthetics and cultures of the different houses and people that live on these worlds, all immerse us in the world of Dune. We go beyond just watching a movie with props and costumes. We enter a new world, witnessing a wonderful, strange, and terrifying portrait of humanity in the distant future, but one which feels utterly unique, and we are immersed and transported out of our daily lives. Then there is Andor. Star Wars for grown-ups, some have called it. Plenty of YouTubers have talked about this, but I have to say it. Andor takes the Star Wars universe and presents it to us in the most realistic and in many ways humanistic way we've ever seen it. The YouTuber and filmmaker Thomas Flight has an excellent video on exactly this topic, which I highly recommend, entitled Why Andor Feels So Real, where he gets into these ideas much more than I can in this video. It's strange. For a story set in the Star Wars universe, such a focus on human realism and at times even the mundane makes Andor a truly unique story. There's no Force, well, not really, there's a very brief sort of throwaway side scene that involves a Force user, but it doesn't really factor into the plot at all. There's no Jedi, no Skywalker family destiny, and virtually no aliens. Just regular people like you or me that inhabit this galaxy. They live on many different planets, and as with any good science fiction story, we become acquainted with each of the worlds. Industrial planets like Ferrix or Morlana 1, the jungles of Yavin 4 and Canary, the farmlands of Mina Rao, windswept highlands of Aldani, beaches of Niamos, prison facility and surrounding waters of Narkina 5, the planet-wide metropolis of Coruscant, or the tranquil but developed centers on Chandrila and Gorman. These planets don't just feel like something on a green screen. The cinematography and particular nature of them gives us a sense of how vast and wondrous the star systems of the Star Wars galaxy are. And on each planet, we often come to know the people and cultures that inhabit them, what their tech level is, and quite often their worldviews and understanding of right and wrong as they see it at this moment in time. But beyond the landscapes and people, the universe of Andor feels real, not like a blue screen or movie set. The machinery feels used. The locations feel lived in, like they are actually people's homes. Government facilities remind us of functional corporate drudgery. There are clear differences in the lives, clothes, and ships used by people of different socioeconomic levels. And there is a sense of first-person perspective as to the vastness of the galaxy and the different levels of power that make up the empire that rule these places, where we witness the daily minutiae of lowly paid security teams, all the way up to how a single person on the ground might perceive the awe-inspiring power of a Star Destroyer. Yet the people are still people in how they act with one another. They don't come across as speaking in an overly ponderous or strange manner just for the sake of it being a futuristic science fiction world. We witness people's daily lives, the small talk between them, and those little, even mundane moments of human interaction within a living, breathing, lived-in galaxy, all of which help us become that much more immersed in the story of Andor. These science fiction stories give us a larger canvas on which to paint when it comes to the places that we can explore, certainly relative to historical films, or anything set on Earth in the present day. This means a larger range of human imagination and artistic expression. Thus, through that imagination, we are drawn into these places and wish to explore them further, to experience that primal human drive to go beyond and see what's over the horizon. So that is how quality science fiction can transport us to another realm. But what else can it do? Reflection on technology and human society in a different way. Aside from world building, arguably the other most defining characteristic of sci-fi is the way in which often futuristic settings are used as a way to provide commentary and reflection on our relationship with technology, while also providing a framing device through which we can reflect upon society. For example, themes of liberty versus oppression, the horrors of war, cultural conflict, colonization, environmentalism, maturing from child to adult, corruption of power, the burden of power, value of family and friends, nature of evil, role of religion, all can be explored, but in a context that is not an exact reproduction from history or the present day, giving us enough distance from which to consider a certain idea. All of these elements can of course be applied to Avatar, Dune, and Andor. With Avatar, despite general criticism from the haters about how simplistic and basic the stories are, there are in fact a number of genuinely interesting sci-fi concepts present in the series. 1. Avatar addresses human consciousness being transported into an alien body, as well as the psychological effects of how the division between one's physical body and one's avatar body affects what you understand to be your true reality, with our closest current analogy being that of playing as a character in an immersive video game. There is also the notion of a certain level of wish fulfillment, both for Jake Sully and the audience. A cripple gets to live in and explore a fantastical world, disconnected from the mundane reality of his actual existence, an experience that we, the audience, share by virtue of watching the film. 2. There is a literal planet-wide deity, but it is also a being which might be explained scientifically, raising questions about the line between science and religion, and how cultures of different tech levels view those concepts. 3. It is an alien invasion story where the humans are the alien invaders, and like the alien antagonists in so many other Earth invasion films, these humans need to expand and acquire more resources to keep their species alive. 4. Films 2 and 3 address the idea of a slain soldier, Quaritch, being effectively reincarnated as a Na'vi and brought back to live and fight in the body of his enemy. That is a very interesting thought experiment, and one that I don't think the film gets enough credit for. The YouTuber Captain Midnight actually mentions how this idea feels to him like a very 1960s or 70s sci-fi setup, almost like a Twilight Zone episode. 5. Though I wish this element had been explored more, in Fire and Ash we begin to see the dynamic of interspecies interactions a good deal after the point of first contact. Humans and Na'vi are interacting in new ways, whether for good or ill. Quaritch starts giving Varong's tribe modern weapons, with the goal of using these Na'vi as local allies. Also for the first time, Neytiri goes to the main human city, albeit just for a mission. With Dune, arguably the foundational science fiction concept addressed in the series is the development of a future interplanetary human society that has evolved without AI, computers, or robotics generally. Though not directly addressed in the films, prior to the events of the story, humanity had fought a war against sentient AI robots, won, and then purged all elements of artificial thinking from the society. Humans instead focused on engineering human biology in directions that would allow for advanced systems and interplanetary travel. We often think of religion and technology as being at opposite ends of the spectrum, but if AI and robots are forbidden, how does religion and supposedly antiquated cultural practices affect a futuristic society? How might such a society develop, mixing cutting-edge technology with ancient weapons and social systems? One manifestation of this is the existence of a feudal nobility as well as a priestly caste in the form of the Bene Gesserit. These social systems then affect the way in which people understand and think about religious prophecy, despite being an interplanetary civilization. In Dune, there are no liberal utopian Star Trek-like democracies, as such systems may not have survived in this universe. An empire is what survives, where an emperor oversees feudal vassals that war amongst themselves. Rather than humans continuing to evolve into some technocratic utopia, dreamed of by many, instead in Dune, political systems seen in the 2020s as largely pre-modern continue to endure and shape human societies, as they have done for past millennia. Andor, being in the Star Wars universe, operates more as science fantasy rather than science fiction. It focuses less on the technological implications of the future and more on socially relevant ideas such as authoritarianism, rebellion, and the ways in which regular people choose to act amidst such a political backdrop, but set within a science fiction environment. Andor does not obsess over spectacle where laser guns and spaceships wow the audience. Rather, it acts as a window into the lives of regular people who live under an oppressive totalitarian government, one which is run by humans just like them. With Andor, we are presented with the question, how do regular people organize and do what they think is right in the face of overwhelming authoritarian power, and how do their choices define their fates? This theme also cuts across class. How do well-connected aristocrats in the capital who wish to fight back and risk their lives do so, but covertly through underground networks, personal connections, and sources of financing? How do common working class people choose to join similar networks, or even insurgent groups where the risk of violence and death is much greater? And what ideas inspire people to decide on their course of action? Are they inspired by high-minded grand ideology, such as the dream of a better political system? Or do they do it because something happened to them in their own life? Someone they loved was taken, their friends were shot, they themselves were wrongfully imprisoned. And how do their personal morals affect the choices they make? Over the course of 2 seasons, Andor shows us how the seeds of a rebellion can start and how the fire of resistance is kindled, while also depicting in graphic detail the often morally gray complexities of a resistance movement as it is understood by different, sometimes rival factions, perhaps united by little more than their hatred of the ruling government. And of course, all of these concepts fully apply to our world. There's another, perhaps simpler point I also want to highlight, and that is how Andor helps us reflect on and even appreciate the universality of mundane daily life and human behaviors that have not changed over millennia, and, provided our species survives into the far future, will likely to continue to exist for many millennia to come. Working a day job, the stress of earning enough to get by, valuing the friends and family you have, trying to get ahead at your workplace, doing whatever it takes to keep your loved ones safe, repairing old tools or machinery, getting fired, sharing a meal with a parent, community gatherings, funerals, cocktail parties or social events, being a parent and watching your kids grow up. All the little things that make up so much of our lives, and which are so often sidelined in stories that focus on grand narratives. And while Andor, of course, tells the grand narrative of how a galaxy-wide rebellion is born, it also, in my opinion, does an outstanding job of capturing the little moments and interactions in people's daily lives that remind us of what it really is to be human on a daily basis. Andor also portrays the idea of the banality of evil better than almost any other movie or show I have ever seen. The only other one being Conspiracy, a criminally underrated HBO film with Ken Branagh and Stanley Tucci about the Wannsee Conference, the meeting where Nazi officials planned the Holocaust. In Andor, we witness the banality of evil most clearly through the character of Dedra Meero, played brilliantly by Denise Gow. Evil isn't always monstrous. It's often bureaucratic, mundane, pushed forward by driven middle managers and senior directors, and might even appear normal within a totalitarian system. Seen from one angle, Dedra Meero is like many of us. She's a woman with goals. She has a good job at the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, and is focused on climbing the metaphorical corporate ladder. She and her coworkers have staff meetings, and there's the usual office politics. She walks to work every day with her briefcase. She's got an apartment. She has a good dynamic with her junior colleague, and they work together on research projects after hours. She even develops feelings for a guy, goes over to his place, and even meets his mom. And also, she tortures people, plans covert operations, and assists in secret weapons research projects, oversees brutal crackdowns upon a mostly unarmed civilian population, and will do generally whatever it takes to advance her career and the goals of the Empire. But she's very human. You may even find her sympathetic at times. She's a person who would have fit right in as a high-ranking government official in the Third Reich or the Soviet Union or Communist China. But in seeing such a person in regular daily life situations, a person just like us, Dedra Meero and more broadly the Empire in Andor reminds us of how familiar and mundane evil can truly be. Archetypical stories, universal themes, and human emotion. All three of these stories also touch on archetypical themes. Yes, they spark our imagination, but like any good story, they allow us to see ourselves, reflect on the human condition, and experience some element of a heroic journey. Avatar is a simple story. It's wish fulfillment. It's Pocahontas in space. It's Dances with Wolves in space. Okay, but so what? Why do these stories resonate with people? Why does Romeo and Juliet resonate with people? Or Titanic for that matter? Avatar, like those other stories, follows archetypical conventions of a character falling in love with someone from another culture while exploring a new world, going on adventures, and fighting against invaders. But I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Yes, it's a simple story. Yes, it's wish fulfillment. But isn't that what so much of entertainment is? Us imagining ourselves as these characters in different environments and situations, seeing ourselves in the story. You can say whatever you want about how surgically effective it is at emotional manipulation. I think back to Red Letter Media's original Avatar review, which is a great review by the way. Plinkett's points are all fair. And sure, maybe I'm a basic normie simpleton for liking the Avatar movies, but I don't care. I used to be apathetic, but I'm not anymore. I'm a fan. Dune is, of course, an archetypical story, that of a hero who becomes a tyrant, the ultimate tragedy, like Macbeth. Though admittedly in Dune, Paul's rise as a hero makes up most of the story, where we are rooting for Paul to succeed the whole time, our first awareness of his turn towards tyranny only arising in the last scene of Dune Part 2. But still, watching a man start his transformation from hero to power-hungry emperor is nonetheless cathartic. But also, Dune, just like Avatar, has an archetypical love story, the story of Paul and Chani that begins and grows through Part 2. A story which is faced with the reality of the society they live in, where Paul, given his station, must marry a highborn woman like Princess Irulan, and he does. Despite the utterly alien environment that we find ourselves in, Paul and Chani falling in love reminds us how these people are still just like us, and as their relationship begins, often combined with Hans Zimmer's excellent score, we hope that they make it. That element is what I believe truly makes an epic an epic. and not just a war film, or a historical film, or a science fiction film. To earn the moniker of epic, there should be a love story, one which draws us in and emotionally connects us, even as the fates of countless others hang in the balance. Love stories amidst war and struggle are archetypical, and that is what makes them worth remembering. With Andor, we see the hero's journey, but through the lens of what a common man can achieve in a vast galaxy. It's the story of Spartacus, a common man rising up against oppression and leading others to fight back against the system with nothing but pure determination and the will to do what is right, knowing he may very well die in the struggle. Cassian Andor isn't the chosen one. He isn't some future king or blessed with magic or a powerful weapon. He's just a regular guy who has to pay his bills like all of us, but he learns to fight for something greater than himself and strive to do what is right. And his actions, along with the actions of those around him, are a small part of a larger tapestry of people fighting against tyranny with the hopes of restoring freedom and liberty to the galaxy. There's an interview with James Cameron where he talks about how humans have an emotional mirror where, when a person is showing emotion, it registers with you and you start to feel that same emotion yourself. So when you watch a powerful performance in a movie, the emotions of that actor are then reflected back into you, and you feel what that person is feeling. I just think about Neytiri, when she mourns the loss of her son, or when she cries at the destruction of her land, and I genuinely feel for her. That's the beauty of this art form called cinema. And with sci-fi epics, the combination of universal human emotion and feeling combined with extraordinary and often alien locales creates an experience that makes us want to immerse ourselves in all of it. And experiencing what the characters are going through whilst in the midst of struggle creates a powerful emotional synthesis. Zoe Saldana's performance makes me care about Jake and Neytiri surviving the challenges they face. And although Dune is much more emotionally cold, and it's fair to say more adult, the moments of sorrow, as well as the moments of tenderness between Paul and Chani in Part 2, also allow for this deep emotional experience to take hold with us, especially when combined with Hans Zimmer's outstanding score. Beginnings are such delicate times, and Kiss the Ring are especially just wonderful pieces of music. And with Andor, it is the emotion of seeing regular people just like us, crushed under the system, struggling and trying to do their best to take action and make a difference, all while watching these human stories of valor and real-world oppression occur in a galaxy far, far away, a place often associated with much more theatrical and larger-than-life stories, not grounded ones. Science fiction stories can show us alien landscapes, make us reflect on the implications of technological advancement, and contemplate the human condition by addressing universal concepts in radically different settings. But science fiction epics, just like their historical and fantasy counterparts, bring scale, grandeur, and emotional power to scenes that stick with us. For something to be epic, there needs to be a weight to the visuals, not flat, lazy CGI as seen in some generic superhero movie, or increasingly some of these AI videos, but a feeling that that epic clash you are witnessing on screen is real, a visual experience properly done. These stories have the world's most cutting-edge realism with Avatar, practical effects with CGI when necessary with Andor, and a seamless blend of CGI and practical effects with Dune. But visuals is not the only element of a story that moves us. It's the combination of a shot, performances, music, and the moment in the story all combined to give you that rush of feeling as you experience something simply epic and emotionally powerful on screen. Fully drawn into the story, driven on by passion. When Paul Atreides declares war on the galaxy, and as the ship takes off, a heartbroken Chani walks into the desert to seek her own path. When we explore the oceans of Pandora, or watch Na'vi getting ready to fly into battle with the humans, or we come to understand a Na'vi woman and her perspective, as Cassian Andor and his team escapes from the Empire during the Eye of Aldhani, or the battle on Gorman as regular people take to the streets to resist military occupation, it matters. We have our mundane lives, and we have so many movies and shows that are at best mediocre and often far worse. For the few contemporary epic stories that still get made, it is worth experiencing them. As a casual sci-fi geek, I wish more people watched these. I wish more people would watch Andor. It's really good. You don't have to be a Star Wars fan to enjoy it. I pitched Andor to my parents and they just didn't care, and it's too bad. I wish more people would stop hating on Avatar so much. Really. Compared to all the other crap out there, you have to hate on this one? Why? Because it's popular and has a simple story, why can we not hate on something we all can get behind, like Rings of Power, drug cartels, or the North Korean government? I wish more people, and especially ivory tower academics, would lay off Dune with all their political narratives. The film is a discussion and deconstruction of a white savior narrative. Do something more useful with your time other than hating on sci-fi stories that give the rest of us something to appreciate. And if for some reason you haven't checked them out, consider doing so. Ideally in the theaters for Avatar and Dune. It really does make a difference. And don't watch them on your phone. For the love of God, don't do that. They are worth so much more. See you next time.